Second minute, 21st rather, Quintero, who was active throughout, couldn't quite have the end product. This one comes to
finding Anthony Thomas. Thomas already got a crease. There he goes, and then
you're trying to do it too much.
Baez! Oh, yes, he got him!
The Olympics is considered by many the pinnacle of modern-day sports. It represents over 20 different sports, with nations from around the world competing every 4 years to claim dominance in various events. Amongst them is badminton, a sport very popular and usually dominated by Asian countries, namely China, with an immense margin ahead of any other trailing countries such as Indonesia and South Korea. Despite the US being one of the countries that dominate the Olympics in general, we do not see nearly the same competitiveness in the sports at the Games, nor do we see the same popularity of the sport in domestic grounds. While there are many Asian Americans that not only dominated the national competitive scene, but have also represented the country in international competition, the game still does not seem to be popular. We decided to investigate this further to understand why such a globally appreciated sport such as badminton would be underappreciated in the US, where we have the potential to go up against the world's best countries in the global stage.
The U.S. Olympic badminton team was composed of all Asian Americans in the 2016 Rio Games. So what if we said badminton is not a popular sport in the U.S. due to the team being completely Asian American? That's a pretty racial statement, but it could be true. I mean, all the other U.S. sports do not represent Asian Americans well, and on a side note, neither does Hollywood. Maybe this country doesn't like watching Asian Americans in general. We could debate on this idea for some time, but what if we also said badminton, which is overall an Asian-dominated sport around the world, is not popular in the United States because the sport lacks the support from the general public that other sports in the US already have? For us to get an understanding of the issue on why badminton was not popular, we first had to do some research to find out where the sport even came from. 2,000 years ago, badminton was referred to as shuttlecock in the ancient civilizations of Asia and Europe. It wasn't until the mid-19th century when British officers took the modern game we now know as badminton from India and brought it back to Britain. From then on, badminton was primarily played as a leisure activity. In 1934, the International Badminton Federation was formed from the countries of England, Wales, Holland, Canada, Ireland, Scotland, New Zealand, and France. The U.S. didn't start supporting badminton until 1936, when the American Badminton Association was created. After that, though, badminton did not see as much hype as other sports did. The amount of U.S. badminton playing declined from 1970 on, until 1992, when badminton was introduced into the Olympics. Ever since its introduction into the Olympics, though, only China, Indonesia, Korea, England, and Denmark have received gold medals in this sport. From the information we found, we could say badminton is just a new sport, especially compared to other American sports like baseball when it was introduced in 1839 and American football in 1869. Badminton doesn't have as long of a history in the US compared to these other popular sports. Another prime example for the lack of support for the sport can be seen from professional players. Tuk Lee Chong Wei was ranked as the top badminton player for 199 consecutive weeks at one point. But when he won the Super Series title back in 2010, which is the biggest badminton tournament, he achieved first place and only won a $15,000 check. That's it, $15,000. Maybe there isn't as many professional players compared to other sports due to the lack of money for players. You can't really live off of $15,000.